My brother had one of those. It was
It's
a big
not a
blue one.
bong.
Yeah. Well, I mean, new for
That's
me.
my other brother.
New for me because I haven't had one in like since middle school. Because I'm stupid.
And he's like, why am I dying?
You enjoying your taco salad?
Love them.
Do you like the garlic?
Let me know. I got an inhaler in the car.
Why?
Remember that promise we made? I keep an extra inhaler for you. You keep an extra insulin for me.
Oh yeah.
What?
It's a deal we made. I don't know how long ago.
You have it, right?
Paradox, I feel it's almost like a fucking.
Paradox.
I mean, yeah, it's like a
They knew.
paradox. I don't know how to say it.
Without using the word.
It's the same thing as Cloverfield Lane.
Okay.
About the same thing.
Like it exists in the universe, but it's a different story.
No, I'm not even that. I mean, like outside of like the movie itself, the developmental stages, it's almost the exact same thing. It's a script that JJ Abrams and his Bad Robot Company bought off and just attached onto Cloverfield, and it's very noticeable where the attached parts are.
With the references.
Yeah, like the. Sorry, my voice is gonna be like wavering up and down. I had an asthma attack. Fun.
Lucky.
Like Cloverfield Lane, like it was its own contained story for like I want to say like 80% of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's 85 pushing 90. But
That's
then
true.
at the end, it becomes Cloverfield.
Yeah.
It could have just been that bunker, but then it throws in the Cloverfield. And then for spoilers for anyone who's seen Paradox, I'll do the Tony way. Spoilers.
Nice.
For anyone who's seen Paradox.
Is Tony speaking?
Paradox is very much the same thing, where like 90% of it is its own story, and then Cloverfield comes in at the end to tie it in.
That's true. So like, what's up with the monster?
Which I
reveal?
really disliked.
But
I hate that ending.
But it also has. I think I'd probably hate the ending attached to the movie, but as an ending separated, I thought it was kind of cool. Just like as a like you're sitting there and they're like, oh, we sent them back. Spoilers. And he's like, oh, we sent them back, and the guy goes like, no, tell them to stay, and then oh my god, motherfucker.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's one hell of a scare.
Yeah, but
I do not like that ending at all.
I could see because it was just.
Speaking of Paradox, just to clarify for anyone, this is Paradox we're talking about, so there are spoilers in here, but
they're just spoilers all over the place. I'm not gonna say it anymore. Just if you're listening to this, you've already seen the movie. We're just here to talk about the theories, the films themselves, and what we feel about them.
yeah.
So in this film, the ship is called Cloverfield. In Cloverfield Lane, it's a street, and then in Cloverfield,
It's the name of the monster.
It's the name of the monster.
I think isn't that what it is? That the monster's named Cloverfield, or is it the city's named Cloverfield?
I think it's the city. Dude, look that one up real quick. Too, just in
I
case.
got it right now.
Or somebody. Just because, yeah, I think it's this, because they keep moving the name Cloverfield a lot. And then, fun fact, I did also find this out, that JJ Abrams literally named Cloverfield after the freeway.
Yeah,
he
that's
gets
the
off
freeway
of.
by your job.
Yeah, because there's this Cloverfield street, and I always wondered, like, oh, look, like the movie, but it turns out that's where JJ Abrams got the name. Because he gets off the Cloverfield freeway to get to his job. Funny. And if I'm wrong about that, then cool. So, haha, diffused. So it's becoming a little insane where you go from movie to movie, and like I like the overarching world. It's a cool idea where like you have these monsters, because I guess it does remind me of like the Cthulhu mythos, where you just have this incomprehensible monster.
Yeah.
That like that ending scene gave me that kind of
it
chills.
is like a retelling of mythos in the vein of Lovecraft's works, but I don't think it should be called Lovecraft-like, because Lovecraft-like, despite being like cosmic and like all expanding, it all exists in like one type of like world, one timeline. Whereas this one is like taking place different timelines, different dimensions, different realities.
You think like, JJ Abrams is trying to sci-fi H.P. Lovecraft?
Yeah, he's trying to over sci-fi a Lovecraft to the like, almost to a fault.
Cause there's like some cool stuff. Like when I was doing all the stupid research I was doing, like the Cloverfield poster itself. If you look at it, there was a thing that they showed that the Cloverfield poster itself, the original one with the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
If you mirrored it and you put them together, you could see the monster.
Oh.
It's like in the middle. Like when you see just the Cloverfield poster, because it came out during like all those disaster movies.
Cloverfield, right? The first one? No,
yeah, the first one. I'm talking about the first one, yeah. It came out during like all those disaster movies like 2012 and stuff like that were kind of coming out. So I guess that's what they did, is if you look at the poster by itself, it looks like just another normal disaster movie. But if you mirror it and then connect it with another poster, you see the monster in the background. And it's very like Lovecraftian, and the idea that you can't see it. You see something's there, but you don't see it. And I think that, remember when we had our Cloverfield kick?
Yeah.
And we were looking at the research of like the connections and stuff like that. And Cloverfield has marketing campaign marketers are geniuses. Those writers need awards.
Yeah, it's all the marketing is this ARG, this alternate reality. I think that's what it's called, alternate reality game, ARG.
Yeah,
where the marketing is like within our social media. Like they had before Cloverfield came out, there was MySpace accounts with
for
like
characters,
backlogs of videos for every character inside Cloverfield and all that shit. It was really, really smart.
Super in depth.
Not to interrupt, but yeah, I was just looking up for Cloverfield what the name of the monster was, and so far I only saw IMDb, but every explanation or like synopsis of that, like description of the movie, they just call it as the unknown creature, the monster.
Oh, okay, so I guess the word
aliens.
Cloverfield is just like they just put it on, they tack it onto whatever it is.
So yeah, it's I think it's go ahead.
Yeah, so far it's just described as an unknown origin creature.
Yeah.
And then that's where Paradox comes in. Before I think I lose track, what I was saying before is that the marketing campaign explained this whole world in this film about this Asian or Japanese company that was mining in the water. This is the first Cloverfield, like mining in the water, and I think we saw it, right? And then apparently like,
it's stuff that's not even explained within the movie. You have to like look into the ARG to understand
some
it.
Dark Souls shit.
Yeah. You have to read the item descriptions.
they were like they were mining for like this elixir that they had in their Slush, I think it's called.
Slusho. The company Slusho started these like mining facilities in the ocean in order to grab this substance from underneath the earth. Like,
it's like a subsidiary of a bigger company.
Yeah.
In like in Japan in this world, and they were using this. Was it like seabed nectar or something?
Yeah, there you go, sea nectar.
Yeah,
and they added it to the Slusho products because it had some weird effect on humans.
And people were drinking it and stuff. And then there's like connections because in Cloverfield, I'm still like on Cloverfield.
Yeah, the first one.
Just in case here, like one of the girls' stomach burst, and then there's also like a commercial where like this Japanese guy's singing and dancing and like rubbing his stomach. So there's like this connection where she got bit by one of the monsters. So a combination of the monster bite and the possible nectar in her stomach that was feeding the monster maybe gave birth to another one. It's this whole crazy thing. And then but that's what it was before, that Cloverfield said that they were mining and disturbed this monster's slumber, which then gives birth.
This is what's set up in the first Cloverfield,
and with the
not within the first Cloverfield, but around the Cloverfield first movie,
the first one in the marketing campaign of the first one.
Yeah.
And then we come to Cloverfield Lane. It starts to get a little bit more alien.
Yeah.
Like the way that John Goodman's character is talking, and like there's aliens out there, and then like the ending monster that we see looks very alien-like in a ship.
Very much like the War of the Planets.
War of the Worlds.
War of the Worlds. Like very much like when I first saw it in Cloverfield Lane, it's the first thing that came to my head. Yeah. It was the War of the World tripods.
So with the spaceship.
Yeah. So then they. Yeah. You saw Cloverfield Lane.
I saw Cloverfield Lane. I don't know how I feel about that whole alien thing, the spaceship.
A lot of people said that. That Cloverfield Lane was really, really good up until she got out the bunker and the aliens came in.
Like, I understand, like, it would have been a lot good if they actually kept it where, like, the little creatures are still, like, roaming around there, like, attacking people. But for the actual spaceship to show up, that's where I was like, okay, you know what, this movie went for...
Yeah, because, for one, it feels offbeat for the rest of the remaining of that movie, but also within the ARG, it seemed contradictory because at first they're established to have come from our own seabed. Yeah. But now in Cloverfield Lane, it's like, oh wait, no, they came from the sky.
See, so it starts going there, and then at the end, you want to say something?
There you go. I was just gonna say, like, I would honestly prefer it if they just like left it as like, the screen just turns black, whereas like she gets out and like she just sees the world like all messed up and then just ends.
And then so
I almost feel that's how the original script ended before JJ Abrams bought it off and added his Cloverfield stuff.
But like, aliens.
At the end of Lane, if you guys remember, she leaves to fight the war.
Yeah,
because she's like in the middle and she has to make a choice of whether to run away or join this army. That's fighting
with John Connor.
We assume
Skynet.
Yeah.
That's fighting I assume is the monsters that came.
Yeah.
Because there's a fourth movie already in the works. Apparently it's already been filmed.
Yeah.
Apparently it's already done.
Yeah, there's rumored to be a fourth movie to come out this year.
And they're saying that it's already done. Like it was done and they released Paradox.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's because what creeps me out is the fourth movie synopsis is that it's about them fighting a war, I think, against the Russians and the aliens. Which makes somewhat sense because in Paradox they talk about the Russians.
Yeah, the Russians were the first to send the bombs, I think.
That's just like the U.S. to blame this fucking giant creature on the Russians.
But that's what they're saying is that in the fourth movie it's gonna take place during a war, so that it feels like that's gonna be a sequel then to Cloverfield Lane, and then Cloverfield Paradox just seems like a film that happens up in the ether.
Yeah.
Because it's in the spaceship, so it's happening like
Paradox set up a paradox, in which all these movies are technically sequels to each other, but they don't all happen at within the same moment. Like they're all kind of retellings of the same event.
And then
it's almost like it's rebooting the same event in different ways.
And then the biggest the biggest theory that's out there that I found was that all 3 events happen at the same time in 3 different universes.
Yeah.
Because in the first universe with Cloverfield, that the main character or one of the main characters in the film was gonna be sent to LA or to New York? To LA, I think, from New York to be the vice president of Slusho. That was his thing. Everybody was like, ooh, and then everybody was wearing like Slusho shirts.
Was he going to Japan?
Oh, it was Japan. Never mind. Sorry, Japan. You're right. He was being sent to Japan.
The first Cloverfield, right? That's what the whole house party is.
Yeah, because he got a job out there.
There you go.
That's why remember one of the things like he was like trying to say something in Japanese because he's been practicing.
Yeah. There you go. So Japan, my bad. Thank you, so. He was sending him to Japan to be vice president of Slusho, which is based in Japan. And then the whole Cloverfield thing happens. The monster comes out. But the thing is, that's the same monster at the end of Cloverfield Paradox that the ladies.
The one that bumps through the clouds at the end.
I didn't realize that, of course, till I did the research. That I was like, oh shit, it's the same monster. In my first watch through, I thought it was just another monster.
I know they're saying it's the same monster, but in Paradox, it seemed a lot bigger.
Wait, so
compared to the one in the first
like,
Cloverfield, it was ginormous.
Dwayne the Rock Johnson had a baby with this monster.
So since I haven't seen it, and you guys actually went to it, is Paradox like post-apocalyptic or?
See, Paradox
it's apocalyptic, not post. It's leading to post-apocalyptic.
Okay. Yeah.
So then, you guys think this 4th movie is going to be post-apocalyptic, or?
That's what it sounds. The synopsis.
Yeah, the synopsis says it's already during a war. So I don't want to say like apocalyptic maybe, because I feel like apocalyptic is like the war's over and everything just fucking destroyed. So I guess this is like on the brink of just like the war that kills everything. The war that leads to like the fallout.
This is Terminator. This is Judgment Day.
This is the Judgment Day.
This is where John Connor finally like rises up.
So basically, like JJ Abrams made Star Wars Episode 1, Episode 2, and then Rogue One, and then
let's not do that.
No, but these movies, like if we look at them by themselves, I'm gonna be honest, aren't that great.
No.
Like, let's just be straight up. The Cloverfield is just it's a vlog. It's an hour and like 8.
I mean, it came out during the handheld craze.
Yeah. So it's just a vlog film, and it's cool. But what made it cooler was the lore, was everything behind it.
That made it really, really cool. Like, it changed Cloverfield in my head.
Same thing with Lane. Like, I know you don't like the add-on of Cloverfield, but at least to me, it added just a little bit of coolness, of mystery.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't enjoy it because it felt offbeat, but I wish it was more naturally woven in, or at least an original idea that JJ did himself. Yeah. Like I said previously, that
he builds the whole
that went in with it naturally rather than like paste it into it.
Yeah. And then I thought it was okay. Like I was like, oh shit, this is a Cloverfield movie.
Yeah, and I mean, 10 Cloverfield Lane is still a fantastic fucking movie.
And then it got us into the lore, and then like the whole thing where they actually buried that guy's. One of the marketing things is they found like John Goodman's character's stuff actually buried in real life. So a guy found it, like they had buried it somewhere. Yeah. It's like this person's portfolio, his life's work, like as if John Goodman's character was real. So I'm assuming John Goodman himself probably did that. Like as an actor, he probably went out and like got into character and buried his things. So that was cool. Now pushing on to Paradox. Paradox didn't have that much campaign behind it.
Not that I'm aware.
It had. I looked into it, and it only had like a few things where it just gives you that it's connected to the Japanese company because that's the main logo. That's like
you see the Slusho bobblehead on one of their desks.
Yeah, and also it told us what year it is, which was
2028,
and the movie told us too. But that, in terms of like the viral marketing, like that's all the stuff you get from it. It's just like blurry snippets, but if you like pause them, like you see like year 2028, the name of the company, the logo. So nothing crazy. There wasn't really anything behind it, but we did see some stuff about the ideas of the God particle back before this movie was even.
Yeah, we already read about JJ Abrams' interest in getting a script that was originally called The God Particle. Yeah. Which I'm almost certain it's what this is. Yeah. They rebranded it as Cloverfield Paradox.
Which in reality I think is a better alien movie than the recent alien movies. Because the idea of like a looming presence, and then they also had this moment where the worms were inside that guy's body and they were talking to him. Do you remember that scene?
Oh yeah, the guy was going crazy.
He had his eye moving, and it looked like I thought his, like when I first saw it, I thought his eye was a monster. I was like, that's pretty cool. Like I thought his eye was like sentient, but then like fucking worms burst out of him. So I'm
because the worms that the Irish dude had. Also fun. I don't know if anyone noticed it. No one here watches Moonboy, huh?
Yo,
you
yeah.
know that Spider-Man?
No, we saw it together.
The guy from Moon Boy. He's in Paradox.
Really?
Yeah.
The guy who speaks to the kid.
Yeah, he's in there.
Oh,
I thought that was great because I was like, oh, it's great. He's getting more work. I love that guy.
Yeah.
He's a great actor.
That's where he's from. I recognized it, but I didn't
because when I first had the movie playing, I was just looking at my phone and on the laptop. Then I heard the voices. Is that fucking Moon Boy?
But small comment on that. Not Moon Boy guy. The guy that loses his arm.
That's Moon Boy guy.
That's him, right? Yeah, there you go. Like, but it's weird because his accent kept breaking. Maybe I just.
I think what it was because he does have a thick accent.
Yeah, he does.
I think they tried to they asked them to like
tone it down.
But I guess he couldn't.
I was like, no, that was like, I was cool with it being not toned down. So when the moments where he was like coming out of it and then going back into it, I was like, why are you doing that? I was like, no, just be you, boy. Like you're fine.
It adds the diversity because that's the whole premise of it. Is that they had
they're all from different countries.
one like elite person within the each country's space station on the ship to represent the diversity. It was Russia, Japan, America. Germany was on of course, German. The guy that always plays the German.
He's Daniel Brühl.
Yeah, Daniel Brühl.
Token Nazi.
I think the only time he's not a German is in Bert. He plays a French guy.
Oh, well. Oh, that's true. He plays so I guess he just plays exotic characters.
I feel like I know exactly what you're talking about, but I'm gonna get it wrong.
He was the Nazi dude in Inglourious Basterds.
That's
from Civil War.
Yeah, because he also played the German in Django.
Yeah.
He was really good. He's really good.
He's just good because I think he is German. So
he's fluent in German.
Yeah, I'm sure Daniel Brühl. He's German.
He's German. Yeah.
Despite what we say, I still think you should watch it.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of parts of the movie that I think you'll fucking love.
Oh, I did plan on watching it.
Yeah, there's moments in it that like channel Cronenberg body horror that's just fucking fantastic. I said fucking like the guy from Moon Boy, sorry.
So
yeah, it's a must watch, but like that ending, you're gonna feel the same way you did about Cloverfield.
I'm sorry, just saying fucking reminded me of what you better fucking do.
There's some strong ass humor in Moon Boy.
Yeah. Oh, we had to fucking kill these kids.
The second episode, the kid finds out about masturbation.
Oh
my god.
He learns to touch himself.
We gotta watch it after this.
But so before we delve into deeply into Cloverfield Paradox, so like Duel just said, give it a watch anyway, regardless of what we say. These movies are watchable. Yeah, they're still good films.
They're contentious but watchable.
Yeah, like they're trying to do great things, but it's just like, dude, come on, just make a movie. So they're all fun though. They're all interesting and they're all their own things. Before we say anything, so the first movie, real quick, is just the POV of an incident with a giant monster. Happens in the city of Cloverfield, I believe, and this monster is unknown, and the whole movie is that. The second movie, Cloverfield Lane, takes place where a woman is
being held captive in a bunker.
Yes,
but at first you think it's for safety, then you find out it might not be. It might be more of like a sadistic serial killer thing.
So it's like a man who might be, in a weird way, living in this world of Cloverfield where the monster attacks. So now he's trying to find salvage in a bunker, and a woman got entangled with this whole thing. The guy gets burned to acid. It's a crazy movie.
Yeah.
And now we're on to Cloverfield Paradox, which is, I guess, the movie before the fourth Cloverfield film. Mm-hmm. So now we're gonna kind of give our review of Cloverfield Paradox. So Doodle, if you want to kick it off, what you think about the movie itself. This is just Paradox by itself.
Splitting it into acts, because that's what I do with all movies. I split into acts. I always look at movie structure. The first act established itself well. It didn't throw in a lot of lore. I mean, it does seem kind of heavy-handed when the author's on screen, the newscast. That seemed like he was throwing in a lot. He was throwing a lot at us at that moment.
Yeah, because it's you don't see the title screen till like 10 minutes in, I think.
Yeah.
Because like you start off with the girl like.
It's like a cold open. The cold open is a little hard because it does throw a lot at you.
Yeah.
But I guess that was kind of like put in there to explain what happens before Act 2.
Okay.
To explain it. But yeah, Act 1 I thought was really good. Again, just like Lord of the Rings, it teased in a lot of the lore. It didn't delve deep into it. Besides the newscast, the author and the newscaster talking about the paradox.
Yeah, it was image based because there was even like an image where you see like a bridge and a bunch of tentacles coming out of it. So it's like you see things there.
The first act I think was solid, not great, but it was solid. It did its job of introducing and of introducing the world and everything. The second,
he's asthmatic. He's dying. Okay.
I think the second act was fantastic.
By itself.
Yeah. By itself. I love the second act because it had horror elements that I miss watching in movies. The sci-fi horror is one of my favorite horrors. Added Cronenberg-esque body gore. Fantastic. I do feel like they didn't go all the way. Like I feel like when you're given a taste of Cronenberg body horror, give it to them. Like, don't just like spoon feed them a pastry. Like, no, give it to like this is what we're gonna introduce. We're just gonna give it to you all, but it didn't go all the way, which I felt disappointing. But maybe that was just to make it more accessible to like every viewer, because Cronenberg isn't the most viewable director in the world. And the second act, I feel like it introduced, or it gave
the third act or the second?
It gave hints of a third act. I was expecting a different third act. I thought the movie was going to end up becoming them all turning on each other while the paradox is like killing them off one another. I thought that's what was going to happen, where it become kind of like a Hateful Eight. Ridiculous Six? No, Hateful Eight.
Ridiculous Six is the bad one.
I thought it was going to end up becoming kind of like Hateful Eight. You know, people,
where it ends with two people,
Yeah, people kind of trapped within this thing, losing trust within one another.
It kind of was.
It was, but then it solved itself really quickly. Because remember, there was distrust for Bruhl's character, because the displacement between the other universes. Bruhl got
real quick though. That thing was weird too. How Bruhl. I mean, a little side note, I guess.
I forget his name.
It's in the future, but Daniel Bruhl's character, the German, whatever, he gets shot point blank by this woman that wants to take the ship.
Just towards the end,
And then I thought he was dead. And then
I thought so too. But then if you think about it, he wasn't hit anywhere vital.
I mean, I guess
he was grazed on the side of his hip, I think,
but the other
and then the shoulder.
The other guy died too.
The other guy was more towards the center of his chest, though. That was more of like a bleeding out type of thing.
That's just weird. Like that's I don't know. Like because it's like you cut into the next scene and then she just pulls the bullets out of him. Then they build the machine. Then they shoot it again, and then they go back to the planet, and then they
it felt rushed. It definitely felt rushed.
It was
the second act and third act was very rushed.
Forced in. I don't know why I clapped. I apologize. But sorry, continue. So we're in the second act.
The second act teased a different third act in my mind. I didn't dislike the third act, but I was kind of expecting something else. I was expecting that whole Hateful Eight type of vibe of people trapped, losing trust within each other. But then that was kind of thrown away.
Because it juggled it until the end.
Yeah. Also, it introduced the fact that the Latino, the doctor, remember he came from the other timeline too, and he was trying to kill everyone. That's what the pale lady said, but then they just kind of ignore that.
But no, I think it was that because remember they said that both teams existed in completion.
Yeah.
On both timelines except for two. The Asian girl was replaced by the white girl that came into her timeline. I forgot their names. I'm not being racist.
Yeah, the Asian girl is Tam, I think was her name.
Tam replaced the invader.
Yeah, Jensen. I'm just remembering the names.
So Tam replaced Jensen in her timeline, and in Jensen's timeline, they didn't have Ava. I think his name was
Ava's essentially the main character in the ensemble.
Yeah, the one that they focus on mostly.
Yeah.
But then they also stray away from her a lot, which is cool. But so instead, Ava stayed on Earth, on her planet, because there's this kind of side story where
the reason that she stayed on her dimension's Earth was because in that dimension, her children didn't die because of the explosion. Because her family is still intact, so she chose to remain there. Yeah, whereas in the Ava that were introduced in the beginning, she's already in a broken relationship where her children are dead.
Yeah.
So she didn't have anything keeping her on Earth.
That's basically it. Because then in her universe, they were already running out of supplies, so she had built a generator.
Yeah.
In both universes, she built a generator.
Yeah, they're marketing essentially like a Tesla battery type thing.
See, but that's what's interesting is because in her universe, they were already running out of stuff, so she built a generator to keep like reading lights and stuff for her kids. But in the other universe that they ended up in, remember she says, I don't know if you've built a generator in your house, but if you do, don't or take it out. So I don't think they reached the point where they were. So
I feel like it's not only a switch in dimensions, there's also like a going back in time type of thing.
See, that could have happened too, like when they teleport back to Earth. Okay, that's too much to get into. Continue. Because I was like, did they teleport to 2006 where the monster was there?
Yeah.
But then how? Because the husband was still in the timeline.
I mean, also you have to take into the fact that the kids were still about the same age. So if anything, they're like just a little bit in the past. Maybe just prior to the explosion that killed the kids.
Maybe, but that's a trippy thing. Because like, what if she goes back in time?
No, but see, the reason that your confusion is my issue with paradox in general.
Cool, perfect transition.
Yeah, good transition. It introduces a paradox that I feel was wholly unnecessary. If Cloverfield Paradox was its own movie, it'd be great because it's the trigger for the suspension of disbelief needed in order to have all these scenes happen to you and you just be accepting of it. Like the fact that Jensen is in the wall, tangled up in the things, the fact that the worms are inside the captain. the fact that Bro's character's files are switched with the other Bro characters. It allows for that suspension of disbelief. But then when you try to plot it into the rest of Cloverfield, that's where the issues come in with all this like excessive fan theories going way beyond what the movies bring on and what the ARG brings on.
But even to add into that, I think it was too subtle. Like without ARG, I guess I was a little annoyed because like David Bro's whole thing where like in the whole movie there's a
Daniel Bro, by the way.
Daniel Bro, sorry, I said David. Daniel Bro's character is being accused of like did the Germans tell you to because he's the one that does the physics behind the actual machine. So basically
he's a physicist. He said it's one of the like smart ass where I'm a physicist.
Yeah, like he is the guy that can make this machine work basically. Like he's doing the math that's necessary to make the God particle happen. And then he's being accused in the beginning of the film of sabotaging. And in the other universe, he did sabotage.
Yeah.
But I felt like it was stupidly subtle. Because it was just like...
It was like it happened and it just kind of like almost within the next 5 minutes it's just undone.
Yeah, like because it's just like he accuses him, like I guess jokingly, but it's real, and then they fight. And then the girl comes in and says, don't trust him, he sabotaged the ship.
Yeah, Jensen comes in.
Yeah, Jensen comes in and says he sabotaged the ship. And then like, so now it's looming, but then the guy comes in and I read your files, and it's like, but everything just happens. Like it doesn't feel, it never felt really like, oh my god, like could Daniel Bro be betrayed? Like, because of course,
no, I feel like they established the fact that the Daniel Bro in the very first dimension we're introduced isn't a bad guy.
Yeah.
But he's being accused for the actions of the other Daniel Bro from the other alternate dimension.
And it's crazy because I guess when he makes that accusation, I guess according to physics, multidimensional theory, the whole string theory thing. Like when you make a decision, you make branching decisions happen. Like if I choose to pick up whatever this PSP in another universe, I didn't pick it up. Yeah. To be simple.
So I guess that's what the branching decision is. I mean, at some point, all the Daniel Bros had the decision to sabotage or not to sabotage. One decided not to. One decided to do it.
See, and that's what was sparking me is that I feel like they should have. Like you were saying, like pick what you're doing because you have two movies here. Yeah. You
literally do.
You have a monster film and you have a time travel film. And then the whole connection where they go into the other universe and then in the other universe it turns out that the debris that fell was the debris that fell in Cloverfield.
Yeah, the footage.
But then Cloverfield took place in 2006.
Yeah,
2008.
Yeah, for people who are confused. If you're even listening to this, at the end of Cloverfield, the very first one that came out in 2008, they found footage from, you remember it, right? At the very end, there's like a found footage thing that like on a Ferris wheel, where people are like recording like a beach or something, and you can see kind of like a meteor crashing into the water, or what seems like a meteor crashing.
I don't remember the meteor crashing, but I do know that it was the guy and the girl, and they were like on a Ferris wheel, like on
and they were the video camera. Yeah, on the first day.
It was hard to see. Like
it's very very hard to see.
You had to like go back and watch it again and be.
But it ends up because they zoom out into a beach. You may not have noticed it, but what they zoom out to or what they zoom into is like a small little like black mass falling into the ocean.
Yeah, it's at the ending.
You're gonna end up looking up, of course. But yeah, the theory is that the thing that you see falling there is the spaceship from the secondly introduced dimension in Paradox. See,
because at first we used to think it was the actual alien.
Yeah, that was the original theory when Cloverfield and Lane were the only two.
And then now we know that it was the spaceship of that universe. That
I keep wanting to call the spaceship the Ishimura just because of Dead Space.
The Ishimura 2 just gets destroyed and falls onto Earth. Yeah. But the crazy thing is, that makes how.
I mean, that's a theory, of course. It's a theory. I don't think it's confirmed. It's a theory.
I mean, okay, none of this is probably going to be confirmed. But just the scene, like if you see the scene, when it's falling into the water, it looks just like the scene from Cloverfield 1. Yeah. So that's like making me feel like, and then it's confirmed that in Cloverfield 1 it's a satellite. Remember in the
right, yeah, that's true.
They say it was a satellite,
and it's known the space station is known as, it's considered a satellite.
So that's why I started thinking when I was seeing that. I was like, wait, it's confirmed that it's a satellite, at least in the marketing ploy of this universe. Yeah. But here it's a whole fucking space station. Yeah. This isn't a satellite. This is a space station. But then you don't know if it's a satellite because remember in that world they were covering it up. Yeah. So maybe the spaceship existed, but they didn't tell anybody about the God particle, which seems like a thing people would do. Because if you had a limited amount of energy, you want to monopolize it, so you don't tell nobody. Point is, back to Doodle, close it up because I'm making the point that you want to make. This shit's convoluted.
I honestly don't remember where I was talking about. Oh, you're watching the video, right?
Yeah, that's very hard to see. Cause
yeah, it's very hard to see.
There's a guy who's like doing freeze frame by freeze frame, like high resolution. It looks very thin, like it was like a piece of dust falling in the camera.
Yeah.
I did not notice that at all.
Which is cool.
I didn't notice that either. The only reason I noticed it after watching the first Cloverfield was because my dad bought the movie. And I watched it at his house, and he has a giant TV. That's when I noticed it. I was like, "What the fuck is it?" I thought the ending like that. I think it's technically like an end credit scene. And I thought just a random ass scene of like two people on a Ferris wheel. And then I didn't know that there was something hidden.
There's another Easter egg in that movie at the end credits, where if you get to the end of it, it's not a scene. Like right at the end of the last credits, it says "Help us." It's like "Help us."
Yeah.
And then if you reverse it, it says "It's still alive."
Yeah.
So the monster is confirmed to have survived Cloverfield.
Monster confirmed.
Cloverfield survival confirmed.
Yeah.
So the monster lived through Cloverfield 1. So that monster could be the monster in Cloverfield Paradox. And like you said, it was different. It was Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson up.
Yeah, it seemed a lot
muscular.
Bigger.
So maybe it
gathered all the Bowflexes on Earth.
But like no, maybe because like let's just say it was sleeping, it was malnourished, and now it's fed. So it.
Yeah.
You know, because remember it was like a fucking stick. It was
he looked like
Voldemort.
It's
I mean, yeah.
Voldemort. Ryuk from Death Note.
Ryuk from Death Note.
Kind of like Ryuk from Death Note, a giant alien-y Ryuk.
Yeah, and then now he's on like a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Yeah.
But to throw back to what the points you were making is you were describing Act 3 and then how it had something good in it, but then it gets to the part where it connects to Cloverfield.
Yeah. I mean, it's not even like an and-then thing. It's hard to ignore its Cloverfield ties because they're weaved into it very aggressively when it cuts into the husband and everything, which I didn't enjoy any of those.
Mm-mm.
I mean, I could if they fleshed it out, I would have enjoyed it, but it seemed like such an after, and actually it is.
Could you look up John Goodman's daughter in Cloverfield Lane? Can you look up her name?
Oh my god, that monster's.
I read already that Cloverfield Paradox, everything in the space station was already filmed, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until almost many months, almost to a year afterward, that all the Earth scenes were filmed and then added onto it. So it literally was, Paradox was done.
Was its own film.
And then they just recorded Cloverfield and added to it. And it's very noticeable in the movie. Because all the Earth stuff only affects Ava, but very minimally.
I liked it better when it was a creature that existed under the water that was disturbed by by drilling.
It was almost like America's Godzilla.
Yes, in a way. It still had Japan in it. Always.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like America's Godzilla, and it was more Lovecraftian, and the idea that in the marketing, it's just in the clouds, and it's this thing you can't see, nor can you fathom, and then when you do see it, it's so scary that you're just in shock.
You're frozen in fear of just the sight of it, almost much like most Lovecraftian monsters.
And that's what Cloverfield did, I think, is that they created a monster that when you saw it, you were like, and I think that's where Cloverfield Lane could have succeeded, is if they didn't let us see that spaceship. If they left it as a looming being, that imagery of always just the darkness blinking at you, shit gives me nightmares to this day. Just imagine that's all you saw. This woman gets out and just looks into the dark and feels calm because there's no poison, but then blink, and then that's it. It's over, and you're just like, what the fuck? But no, you gave us a spaceship. You gave us something to fight. So I'm like, what are you gonna do now? Independence Day? Is that what's next, JJ Abrams?
She's gonna go pick up Will Smith.
And they're gonna
the White House.
Gonna cross over with Bright and then make an Independence Day 4. So it's like you gotta pick.
And Cloverfield got out of hand very quickly.
In what sense?
In the fact that they didn't continue it in an original way.
Okay.
I mean, Cloverfield Lane is an original movie.
It's great.
But I mean, just the fact that JJ Abrams, that's a bought-off thing that he did and attached into it. That's what doesn't feel original about it.
But it was cool. Like you say, the whole bunker part was amazing.
Yeah.
Because it's cool. Just imagine you build the world of Cloverfield and you are seeing. It's like playing Fallout. It's like when you play the game Fallout, you get to go and see. When you read the lore and all that stuff, you see what people were doing through this event, and that's the interesting part. What people were doing in this fall, what people were doing in this fall in the same event. So if she would have come out and then seen a creature of that size, that imagine that fear. She just had this whole event with this man in a bunker, that to her was the end of the world and the end of her life. And you come out and you see that shit, and you realize how meaningless that event was. to that,
Yeah.
that would have been perfect. That would have just been like, it would have. I think it would have just made Cloverfield Lane like one of the greatest horror movies of all time, because you would have witnessed a man trying to murder you, step outside and see Cthulhu, like just like when you played the Bloodborne and you finally get the insight, the
insight needed to see the amygdalas.
And I was always wondering why I couldn't fight those monsters, and you explained to me like because they don't care about you.
They don't fucking care about you.
So you're sitting here fighting all these wolves and
yeah, like you're having like the cut into Bloodborne for a little bit, as I tend to do with everything in my life. Yeah. As you're having all these moments in Bloodborne where you're like near death, and like you feel like everything you've ever trained for leads to this moment, only to realize it's very insignificant because these amygdala that's just there gives no shits about you whatsoever.
Bigger monsters just chilling there, and they're just like, we don't care.
Yeah, like you can shoot it, you can throw rocks at it, you can try to cut it, it does not care about you.
And like, just imagine that. And right now, like in Bloodborne, you're having like a moment, really. Like Doodle said, like every battle is a fight for your death. But as soon as you're done, you're like, you recover, you look up, and the guy's just like, hey, like,
not even hey, doesn't even want to acknowledge it, because it's like, would you acknowledge every ant that walked by you?
No,
you wouldn't.
So like that's what it is, and that would have made Cloverfield Lane like top tier, just because that was what Cloverfield Paradox did at the end that kind of freaked me out a little bit, is because you had a comparison where you see the little spaceship falling, and then the huge monster comes out, and you just look at that and you just comprehend the idea of that. But I guess the world's not ready for these types of movies, so you have to always conceptualize and give a possible hope for like,
it's one of those movies that you can almost see that once they all come out, it'll click for everyone.
Yeah.
But as it's slowly coming out little by little,
it's all just
it's getting hit with big contentions.
Yeah. And that's what Cloverfield Lane does, is I think is it conceptualized the monsters to be beaten.
Yeah.
And she beat it. She exploded the monster in Cloverfield Lane, and it's like, oh, it's possible. Let's go join the army. I'm like, no. Let humankind suffer for their mistakes. The monster came out because you guys were mining. Suffer.
It's going back to a point that's always made in Lovecraft horror, that the first thing people get wrong about Lovecraftian horror is that you cannot defeat the monsters. They are undefeatable. It's meant to just represent the fear you're born with and the fear you will always have of death and the cosmos and your insignificance. Those are things you're never gonna like overcome, and that's what the Lovecraftian monsters represent. And then when you try to put it into a movie like Cloverfield, it's cool up until the point you defeat it, then you're just like, wait, what?
Now it's its own thing. Like, it's away from Lovecraft. Like the parts, like when, like remember when we were doing all that research, like it was creepy because it was like, just imagine a monster coming out of the water like that.
Mm-hmm.
And like how do you hide that? You like, if the government found a monster like that, like how are they gonna hide that? Like imagine a monster you can't hide, and humans find it. New York found it. New York being one of the biggest cities in like the United States, like and it lives, and we can't destroy it, and it's our karma. Like our karma has erupted so greatly that a monster came out from Mother Earth and killed us for destroying Mother Earth. Like the beauty of that narrative.
Godzilla always had the representation, the metaphor behind it of it being Mother Earth fighting back, because Godzilla is always like this lizard that was created through our human pollution, and then Cloverfield seemed kind of like humans' hubris fighting back at itself in a way, which I feel like it's lost within the movies at some point. The metaphor that I guess that JJ Abrams is trying to attach to these movies is getting lost and like diluted. I was gonna say dilated. Getting diluted with every single entry.
So, but just really quick, now that you were saying that, and how I started thinking like maybe it is a different monster, because they're above the cloud lining of Earth. Like they've just broken the atmosphere, and this monster just erupts up.
Because what I'm thinking is the same thing that we did for that Earth Godzilla movie. That, remember towards the end it was like one of the babies that they killed. What if the monster that was revealed in the Cloverfield from the mining, what if that was a smaller version compared to this big ass one that just came out of nowhere? Yeah. But do you think maybe is it just one monster, or is there more of them, and is this one like the bigger one?
See, and I feel like that's what it is, because in Cloverfield 1 there are babies that come out of it. And it's the one that kills the love interest.
Yeah, because if you do like look at the images I compared, you do notice a difference in the fang length. That's why it's like, is this really the same monster?
Yeah. But what you mean. Like almost like one of the babies grew bigger than the mother.
Yeah.
And even that guy's monologue does kind of mention that, like, oh, like we're ripping. See, now it's become a whole thing where we're ripping a hole in space time. See, just go back to that monologue, because this is what he says. He says, demons creatures from other dimensions, creatures from the sea. That line made no sense.
Yeah.
Because creatures are creatures. Like, from the sea.
I feel like that line was written because JJ Abrams still doesn't know what he wants to put into this.
So he wanted to probably connect it to... That's what I think that was connecting to Cloverfield 1.
Yeah, what the...
Like, that line. Like, I remember... Because it felt so out of place. He was like, creatures from other dimensions, from demons, and creatures from the sea. I was like, how do you go from demons, other dimensions, from the sea? Like, that just... In my head, I didn't comprehend. Because it was like... You've already kind of encapsulated monsters that could come out of the water. But you... purposely said from the sea. Like, that line was written and filmed and put in the movie, and that line stood out like a fucking needle on my butt crack. Like, I was like, what?
It could be just like Pokemon's, where it's like the professor's like, we dreamed of making the world's strongest Pokemon and we succeeded before they died. Whereas like, see, their creation was their demise.
Yeah. But it's just like he wrote that line in, and I feel like that was forcefully again connecting it to Cloverfield 1.
Yeah.
So meaning
that's
that
where the hard weaves are like noticeable.
So meaning that monster could come from the sea. And again, it's like the whole thing that because he said it happened in the universe. I don't know, but
I actually wouldn't like it if it's just another sea creature that just like rose to like on land. Yeah. I'd be like, it's just like, alright, here's another Godzilla thing. Here's another like typical like
adding in the whole like other dimension type monsters. It gives it a Godzilla-like aesthetic, but with like a new twist.
For me, it's more like Pacific Rim. It's like, oh, here are these giant sea monsters coming from a different dimension under the water.
Yeah. That was cool.
Pacific Rim.
Yeah. That's the Guillermo del Toro handle. That's why the first Pacific Rim was amazing.
Oh, Pacific Rim was an amazing movie, but I just feel like for Cloverfield, if I was to find out that was what their origin is, oh, it's a giant sea creature from a different dimension, I'd be like, okay, something's off here. That's unoriginal. That's
like, if you're gonna do that, I better see Guillermo del Toro directed.
I have high hopes for Pacific Rim 2.
I don't.
Really?
Because it's just an action movie.
Again, this is just because I'm a Guillermo cuck. It's like he's essentially taking the M. Night Shyamalan book of narrative, doing it a little better than M. Night, but
a lot better than M. Night.
But still, it's got that M. Night undertone.
Because it's like monsters.
It's like, imagine for part 4 they had Charlie Day in it. Well, I don't know, man. What do you want me to do? There's giant monsters outside.
I mean, he's in Pacific Rim too.
Yeah. He's in part 1 as well.
He was in part 1?
Yeah, he was a scientist.
I forgot him in that one.
He was a scientist going, oh
my god, this is awesome, oh my god.
Remember he did the part, he was like, can we talk about the male? I'm down to talk about the male. I'm kidding, that's
Philadelphia. I saw that episode.
I would love to see him in a monster movie. Just like him and Kevin Hart together.
He was.
Oh,
Pacific Rim.
like him, Kevin Hart in a horror movie. I wonder who would outdo who when it comes to like being crazy. I have high hopes for Charlie Day because he's funny because he has ADHD.
Are you saying it because he's white? You're saying that the white guy's gonna do better than the black guy?
No, because his comedy is actually natural. That's a condition he has.
Because he's whiteness.
No, the difference is that Charlie Day comes up with original jokes.
Oh.
And Kevin Hart works off the same 10.
We all got our things. He's got a shtick.
Don't turn this into a race thing.
Oh, it's because I'm not. So weaving it back though is JJ Abrams is building a cool world, but it's going too far.
Yeah,
just make good movies.
It's going off the rails really quickly.
Just make.
And I feel like it's kind of pushing people away from it.
I think you should keep the Cloverfield. Like, I like the idea of the world. I like the idea, but just keep it implied.
Like, and keep it. I want to say keep it to the same timeline.
That's true. He just went through different timelines.
Because I feel like Terminator killed alternate timelines for everyone.
That's true. That's why even Back to the Future did it so simply. It was just one timeline and then the disrupted timeline. Yeah. Like, that's all it was. It was, this is the normal timeline, and here's this timeline because he had the book and it did all this.
Yeah, it was 2 timelines. This one seems like it's introducing a bunch of them.
And if you say, oh, it's because I'm not smart enough to comprehend the complexities of string theory and physics...
Well, I'm sorry, I don't watch Rick and Morty.
Fuck you. Yeah. If you want to do different timelines, I mean, do it, but I think just keep it implied. Yeah. Don't, because like you said, Cloverfield Lane...
Let the stories be tying to, like, Lord of the Rings, which we talked about earlier. Let the story be the story and hint to the greater story in the background.
Yeah. Like you did with Cloverfield Lane and Cloverfield 1. Yeah. Like that whole thing where everything was like, that was amazing. Like we didn't think anything of it. We just enjoyed it. We were like sucking it all in and just like, holy crap, like this whole world exists behind these movies, fucking dope. Yeah. But now that you're shoehorning it in,
it's thrown in. It's a plot point.
Like within the movies. With Paradox, you've literally subplot. Yeah, you've literally made it part of the canon that everything that was implied, and it's like, no, you should have just have the God particle be up there and imply that the monsters will happen on Earth and leave them on Earth, and then have Like just that's it. Like just leave them on Earth and which is basically what you did until you put that ending scene. So I guess you needed the ending scene to give us, but you just let the monsters happen on Earth and let the space happen in space. And JJ Abrams, I see what you're doing. It's interesting. It's going places, but I think you should tone it down. But like Doodle said, the horror and the stuff happening on the spaceship was pretty cool. I thought it was even more scarier than the recent Alien films that came out.
Seeing just the trailer of this movie, like after the Super Bowl, congratulations, Eagle, by the way. But like yeah, it was just like thrown out there, and I was like, okay, here's another Cloverfield movie. Now knowing, I honestly did not know it was in space. Like
In space.
I got a glimpse of the trailer, and I was like, okay, here's another Cloverfield. I thought it was more like a documentary explaining what happened between part 1 and part 2.
That would have been cool, actually. Yeah, now I should think about it. That's a good way to look at it.
That's exactly when I saw the trailer. I saw like a glimpse of it. It was like they were like explaining, and there was like little cutscenes from like the first movie and the second movie. I was like, oh, it's gonna be like a little documentary explaining what's going on, like kind of like a fan theory. But now, just like I said, after what was being discussed here, getting a visual that it's in space, the monsters return, fucking Dwayne Johnson's in the movie.
You play the monster, he's credited.
It's like, I mean, yeah, he's getting a lot of work lately. Like just knowing he's the voice actor.
He did his Maui voice for this one.
Yeah, it's like I actually am really looking forward to watch this movie, just with less hopes as I expected at first.
Okay. And in his defense, it's after hearing what me and Doodle said. And Doodle's incredibly picky, and I am pretentious. So.
You're accepting to most movies.
I'm
very picky about what movies I want to just love.
Yeah.
Like all those movies, very carefully picked. Except the DBZ ones.
You look at Doodle's collection of movies, and they're all very carefully picked. You look at mine, and it's just like, but I liked it though. So you heard it here, guys.
Also, before I end this, I always put it in on the video as words. The backtrack to this is most likely going to be a song by Lake Inspired. Honestly, check them out. I have the link everywhere. I fucking love Lake Inspired. If you're also a YouTuber making videos, use his music, just credit him. He allows everyone to use his music. Great guy.
Well, let's not forget, also, if you like the video, go ahead and please subscribe it down below.
We never say that.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
There you go.
Let's have it be. Let's never say it.
No, let's have it be implied. You know, let's show JJ Abrams.
Unsubscribe.
Let's show him how it's
report
done.
us. Flag us.
Yep.
Dislike the video.
Tell your friends that you hate us. But thank you for listening. If you did, we out.